This is the 3pm Takeover, Radio Northern Beach's only drive-home show.
Keep it right here for a whole hour of fresh hits and entertainment for your Wednesday afternoon.
Here we go.
This is Him for the Weekend by Coldplay. Welcome to Radio Northern Beaches. You're listening to the 3pm Takeover, and because we are already halfway through the week, extra early, it is Hump Day, which is so exciting. And I was thinking about Hump Day. To me, that it always sounds a bit rude, that phrase.
Yeah, but there's that great ad. I think it's the Geico ad with the camels walking through the office. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
And he's walking around, he's like, what day is it?
Oh, because camels have humps.
And some day, and one person's like, hump day. He's like, hump day, hump day, hump day. It is, you have to, it's the greatest ad because it's just this camel walking around an office box being like, hey guys, what day is it?
That's hilarious. What's weird though is I never feel like Wednesday is in the middle of the week. I'm never like, oh good, it's Wednesday, I'm halfway through. I only start feeling good when it's Thursday. I don't like Thursdays, but by Thursday I'm starting to feel like the weekend is in sight. Whereas when Wednesday I'm always like, ugh, work surrounds me on both sides. Like,
yeah, true.
No weekend anywhere.
I always find Tuesday hard because I get briefed in on a whole bunch of jobs on Monday and all of them are like going to be due by Friday. And I'm like, there's only like 3 days left, but like I want it to be the weekend, but I also don't want it to go quickly because then suddenly
because you have work to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what's weird? For me, every week at work, Tuesday is the day that I am the most tired. I don't know why, because
really?
I don't do anything on Monday night. There's no particular reason I should be tired, but every week Tuesday hits me like a brick wall to the face.
Wow. Wow, that was very intense.
Just like it did yesterday.
Similarly.
It's a true one though.
I've always wondered, why is it called, I assume it's Hump Day because it's like the middle of the week. It's like the hump.
Going over the hump.
You got to climb up, you reach the mountaintop and then it's easier on the way down.
Well,
that's
actually,
what I assumed. But why isn't it called like Mountain Day and not Hump Day?
It's very interesting that you mentioned mountains because that's actually sort of where it came from.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I did some research into this, and
I'm so smart.
You are. Before there was the phrase Hump Day, there was the phrase over the hump, which came from the Second World War and actually literally meant over the hump, and it referred to the process of flying supplies over the Himalayas from India to the east, and getting over the mountain is really difficult and dangerous. So people started saying, oh, once you're over the hump, things are going to be okay.
Oh my goodness.
So it came from that. So it's a really long time ago.
That is the most incredible origin story of something ever.
Yeah. So literally back then when they said it, getting over the hump just meant getting over something difficult. And then in the 70s, it started to be applied to the middle of the working week, and they would say getting over the hump of the week. And then in the 80s, it was abbreviated down to Hump Day.
Wow.
So the term has actually been around really, really a long time. I think it's just sort of come back in style. And the term originated in the US, actually.
That doesn't surprise me.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of things originate in the US that don't surprise me, I guess.
This is true.
Cronuts.
A lot of things... Cronuts.
For one.
A lot of things originate in the US, just in general.
But like crab cakes are from the US. They're not like an Asian thing. They're an American thing.
This is so true. It's like French fries are not from France.
And fortune cookies were invented in LA in the 1920s.
Were they?
Yeah, they have nothing to do with like Chinese food or anything.
That's so weird when things become like you associate them with a certain
like culture,
a certain culture
nation.
or something like that,
yeah.
and it's not actually true. It's like I was really mad when I was the first time I went.
Singapore noodles.
Yeah, are not from Singapore.
Not from Singapore. You can't buy them in Singapore. You must understand my 15-year-old self just disappointment when I found out Singapore noodles, you could not get them in Singapore.
Well, 6-year-old me was visiting Italy for the first time and had ordered spaghetti bolognese, as you do, and then was like, can we get garlic bread? And the person was like, what is this garlic bread you speak of?
Really?
And then my mum was like, Hope, there's no garlic bread in Italy. And I was like, what? But it's supposed to be where pasta's from.
But you have bread and you have garlic and you have butter. Guys, we can do this together.
And my mum was like, but they don't serve garlic bread with Italian food in Italy. And I was like, what? But what? That's not fair.
It's like, I think I learnt that butter chicken is like just not really eaten in India. It's a like majorly westernized dish because it's like has no quote unquote flavor to it because it's not spicy. So they just don't eat it over there.
Isn't that the
you
same
can get
with
it there
like
now because so many people visit India.
Yeah. But isn't that the same with like pad thai? Pad thai is like pad thai is not eaten in Asia either.
That would not surprise me at all.
It's like Westerners pretending to eat Asian
most,
food.
Like real Chinese food doesn't come covered in sauce.
That's so weird.
It like the sauces are very sweet and they're very westernized so that like we can eat them. Because otherwise, and they don't eat very much meat actually. A lot of their food is fish.
This is why they are thin.
Yep.
We'll be right back after
the Chinese diet secret. Welcome back to the 3pm Takeover. That was Song for Someone by U2. that was nice. It's a bit of a...
It is a bit nice, a bit mellow.
Yeah, slowed us down for this hump day.
Post-hump day, it's after 12 o'clock. The music's getting more mellow, kids.
So if you just missed our first segment, we were discussing the origins of hump day, and it was like 15 million times more interesting than I actually thought it was going to be.
These things often are. And everything has a history. You know, I always look up random things. I'm like, wow, I'd never have guessed that.
It's like if there's a phrase you always hear, and if you ever look up like where it came from, I guarantee you're going to be surprised that the origins of that phrase. So.
I guarantee that 80% of the time
Shakespeare
invented them.
I always
invented
think that.
every phrase.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, where this came from? And I look it up and I'm like, of course, it was bloody Shakespeare.
Of course he did it.
He had to be too good, didn't he, to come up with everything.
I know, when he made up so many words as well.
Yeah.
What a smart cookie.
He was. But taking back to more the present northern beaches and away from like ancient England.
Because he's not from the beaches, so he's not relevant.
No, he's not. Yeah.
Where would he live if he was living on the beach?
Yeah, I just imagine him in like one of those old-fashioned swimsuits, but still with that weird like frilly collar thing.
But I wonder where he'd live.
Great look.
He seems a Clontarf type. I don't know why.
Really, I was feeling more of like a Mona Vale.
A Mona Vale. Shakespeare from Mona Vale.
A Mona Vale, like Narrabeen kind of vibe.
Yeah, maybe a bit more inland.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Narrabeen Warriewood type. He's from Warriewood.
He's a Warriewood, yeah. He loves a good Kmart shop.
He would be from Warriewood.
Anyway, if your name's William from Warriewood. William from Warriewood.
Oh, it's alliterative as well.
Yeah, if your name's William from Warriewood, you should change your last name to be Shakespeare so you can be Shakespeare from Warriewood.
I like that idea.
Just for our benefit, really.
That's really cool.
Anyway, back to the beaches.
There are a lot of cool events coming up on the beaches this week, which is good because the poor beaches have had a really tough time in the last few weeks. The weather has been so crazy and so many roads have been closed, so many things are flooded. But it's amazing how quickly everything recovers. I was driving around Narrabeen and Collaroy earlier in the week, and it's already cleared up a lot. Like, you'd never guess it had been underwater a week ago.
I was saying the same thing. My mum and I went up to Warriewood on Sunday, and driving along the road, we both said, I can't believe this road was underwater.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like, it was ridiculous. We can't even imagine it. You can't even tell. It's
the
crazy.
difference 1 week makes is amazing. So the storm was really, really bad last Saturday. The Saturday before. And last Saturday, I was at Collaroy. It was 25 degrees. It was brilliant sunshine.
That's
People were
insane.
swimming. And I was like, that's so weird. In 1 week, it is just unbelievable how much can change. But anyway, we have a couple of events coming up. So actually in Collaroy, to start us up, Collaroy Cinema have a special event today. Patapuri and the Rainmakers will be showing at the cinema, which is an Aboriginal film. So it's always good to check out.
Nice.
It's good industry in Australia.
It
And a bit further down in Manly, we have the Mossman Youth Barista course.
Ooh.
Which is cool. And barista course is something I've always wanted to do and I've never done. It's on my bucket list.
I think it'd be such a handy skill. Like waitressing is one of those ones you can kind of take around the world.
Yeah.
I
I
also-
just think it's so cool when someone can like use a coffee machine. I'm always like, oh, respect. And we also have an event in Terry Hills this week on the 15th, which is very exciting because our studio is in Terry Hills.
It is.
But it's not a studio.
Oh.
So don't get excited. Just a bit down from the studio, actually, about a 1-minute drive at the German International School. Climate expert Dr. Sarah Perkins Kirkpatrick will be there doing a talk. And she's really amazing. She actually came to my university many, many years ago, and she gave a talk on ecological law, which was really, really interesting. It's really good. So that's Dr. Sarah Perkins Kirkpatrick, if you're interested, at the German School on Wednesday evening, which is tonight. But there's the coolest event happening tonight, which is my favourite.
Yeah?
In Freshwater tonight at Harbour Diggers, they're doing breakfast at Tiffany's Classic Movie Night.
Oh.
So if you're free tonight, you should go along to that because that is a fantastic movie.
Nothing like a bit of Audrey Hepburn on a Wednesday night.
This is true.
That's what I always say. Always. If anyone who knows me will know that I'm always talking about Audrey Hepburn on Wednesday night.
You're listening to The Takeover. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to the 3 p.m. Takeover on Radio Northern Beaches. And that was Birds of Tokyo, fantastic Australian artist. Good to hear the locals.
Yeah, so don't be thrown by the name. Birds of Tokyo, they're not actually birds of Tokyo. They're technically birds of Australia.
That's so weird. It's like, what was that band that we know that's called something in London? But they're
A friend in London, and they're a Danish band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
To trick everybody.
So tricky.
I got you so good.
Just like Birds of Tokyo. I got you. We're not Japanese.
Yep. Or maybe like they've been there.
Yeah, maybe they like Tokyo or they met there or something.
Actually, it'd be clever because if we formed a band and you called something like, I don't know, London girls, and you'd be like, oh, we have to do a music video. We should do it in London because it's in the name of the band.
Yeah.
Maybe they go to like Tokyo all the time to film stuff, and it's a very clever ploy, so they get to go to Tokyo all the time because Tokyo is awesome.
That's interesting. I'd never thought of that.
You know what? It's probably not as deep motives as
they probably just called it that.
Anyway, as Hope said before, it is Wednesday, but it's suddenly Wednesday because we had a long weekend, which was awesome.
Thank the Lord.
Yeah. But my question for you is, what do you do on the weekend? Because half people I know always like have to go away extra day, and I'm very much like another day to me not get dressed out of my PJs.
This is the thing. Every time a long weekend's coming, I always want to plan something. Like when I was younger and I lived with my parents, we used to do really great things on the long weekend. You know, like we go down to Berry or somewhere, or like we go to Lura or the Blue Mountains, somewhere that's like not far but far enough away that it's different, somewhere that's cold, and we'd sit in front of like, you know, sit by the bonfire and like have wine and have like a few days away, which was really nice. And I love stuff like that. And a pile of my friends actually spent the long weekend in the Hunter Valley. And I wish that I had the motivation to organise stuff like that. But every time I see the long weekend coming, all I can think of is another day to either, you know, run errands or just like stay at home resting and catching up on my strength.
It's an extra day of rest. But to be fair, it's only this year that I've actually started to, feel them, because I was a uni student last year. So I had so many days off that if there was a public holiday, I'd be like, oh, okay.
You didn't know
I just didn't have class that day.
Yeah.
But I would be like, cool, I have like 2 days off in a row. I can do more uni work, or I can go run errands. But now I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to get up this morning. Like I can sleep in until this time instead of getting up at like 6:30. That's like all it really means to me. So.
Okay, so what do you usually do on the long weekend then?
Look, sounds lame, but I'll catch up on all like videos and TV shows that I'm behind on, because I just get really behind on that. Because I used to watch a lot of TV shows like across uni, because I had so much extra. Like I'd get home from uni at like 2:00 and be like, oh, I watch a show before I start my uni work, just to like give my brain a break. But now I get home at like 7 and I'm like, oh, I can squeeze in like one episode, and I've had to drop so many TV shows. It's like getting rid of a child for me, because I watch so many good shows. It's so painful. So I'll just be so behind. So long weekend, I'm like, I can catch up on a TV show, or I'll catch up on all my YouTube, like the watch later button.
Yeah. This long weekend that we just had though, actually it felt like it went on forever for me.
Yes. No, I agree. Yeah, I feel like I've had an extra couple of days.
Like ages off.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because the weather was kind of very the same.
Yeah.
And the day felt kind of stretched out. Yeah.
I did feel like that. But what's weird is I thought that when I finished uni and I started working full time, that weekends would go really quickly, because there was only 2 days of weekend versus 5 days of work. But I actually find my work days go pretty fast because I'm busy, and my weekends are actually pretty slow.
That's good.
It's really great. Like
that's the balance you want.
It feels pretty paced, whereas I thought that weekends would just flash past.
But the thing about the long weekend, if you are going to go away, it's kind of that awkward length. You've got to work out how far you can go, that the travel time is worth it and it's not going to be too far, but you actually get to spend enough time in the place you're going to.
Yeah.
And also factor in like traffic, because everyone else is going places.
It's
almost like too much logistic organisation for me, that I'm just like, you know what? I'll just sit in my PJs all day. Like I had friends who went to New Zealand for the weekend. I'm like, that is such a good use of time. They went to New Zealand. It's not too far, especially the long weekends. They get that extra day to come back.
Yeah.
They went to one place and they knew where they were going to go. That was really clever. I was very envious of their strategic planning on that one.
That is a good thing. It's like someone that I work with, she took Thursday, Friday off work last week, and she's gone to the Gold Coast. But because of the long weekend, she's only like missed like 2 days of work instead of 3, but she's been away for 5 days. I love a good long weekend, and I wish that I was more productive with them. I had so many great long weekends growing up, going away. But now that I'm responsible for organising it myself, my ideas are pretty thin on the line, I gotta say.
Yeah. Maybe I'll become interesting and go places,
and do something good.
Yeah, at the moment, I have really comfy PJs. I just need to stop investing good money in pajamas.
That's true.
Obviously, my home clothes need to be a lot less comfortable.
Do you feel like we've had a pile of long weekends this year?
We have.
I don't think we actually have. I just feel like there have been so many.
No, there have been a lot, and I think this is the last one for a while.
What did we have? We had Easter, which was 4 days. And then we had something at Anzac Day, and now we've had Queen's birthday. Labor Day is in October. But we had
like 2 Queen's birthdays, didn't we? Isn't this the second Queen's birthday?
No.
Yeah, but we had a Queen's birthday a couple of weeks ago.
No, that was her actual birthday.
Yeah, didn't we get a day off of that?
No.
Oh.
No. We just had
so many that every time on the news they're like the Queen's had a celebration. I'm like, oh, we probably had a day off.
10 public holidays for her birthday. No, we had the extra long one for Easter and then Anzac Day and then Queen's birthday. So it feels like so many, but we don't have one now until Labor Day, which I think is mid-October. And then after that, that's
Christmas.
It for the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
There should be more.
Yeah, we're going to fill that working week.
I think we should get Melbourne Cup. I know it's not Melbourne, but if everyone else gets it.
We should get all of England's extra. So we don't have like their bank holiday, which just happened. We should get that as well.
But you know that the UK don't get a public holiday for Queen's birthday? Riddle me that one. They don't even get that long weekend.
That sucks. How come we have it then?
I don't know. Because we're lazy.
We're just that nationalistic.
And we want to have the day off.
Yeah, so all those people that are like, oh, we need to cut our ties from England. Guys, we might lose the Queen's birthday long weekend. Let's not cut our ties.
We have New South Wales actually has the second most, I think it is, public holidays of any state.
That doesn't surprise me.
I think it's Western Australia that have the most, and they have like a pile. They have like an extra 4 than we do. And I think it's maybe Tasmania or the ACT that have the least, and they have like 2 a year.
Oh,
they just don't get any of the holidays.
Oh,
I'm like, that's so sad.
Oh, but that's what happens when you choose to live in ACT. No,
that's true. You brought it on yourself.
You know what? Actually, Canberra is lovely. My aunt lives down there, and it's actually a very lovely area. They have a Questacon. You can't get angry at Questacon.
That's
so
true.
Much fun.
No, I actually really like the ACT.
Yeah, it's the perfect distance for a long weekend. Actually,
it is. But let us know what you did on the long weekend because we would love to hear. So shoot us an email at the 3pm takeover at outlook.com or write on our Facebook page.
You can tweet us as well. You can send us a letter. You can just
you can write to us.
Like whatever form of contact. We're not biased. So
anything will do.
We'll catch you after this. Welcome back to the 3pm takeover. That was 2 like powerhouse artists back to back, Adele and Taylor.
I know.
Anyway, on a different note, Hope and I graduated from university last week. Well, Hope graduated again. Some of us have only done 1 degree, which is like amazing. Congratulations, us.
I know.
It's a huge achievement. But my brother said something. He was like, congrats on graduating. That's really exciting. He's like, welcome to like actually being a full adult now because, you know.
Oh, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to adult. Like, no, like I haven't been using a concession card for like 6 months, but like I was actually like, it really hit me. I was like, oh, I have to be like a proper adult now and I don't know how to do like anything. So I figured there are probably a lot of, like, I think the phrase is new adults, like early 20s people. I think there's a few of us who don't know how to do certain things. So Hope and I are going to do some research for you guys. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to bring up some topics that might be, I guess, things that people assume you know how to do, but you may not. And we're going to help you through it together because...
Come under our wing of advice.
So this week we're going to discuss budgets because... I know, because they suck. But they're really important and I'm in the process of... I've kind of have like a really watered down half-assed one, but I'm in the process of like writing a proper budget that I'm going to stick to.
The thing I find hard about...
And it's so boring, but like it's really important.
The thing that I find hard about budgeting is there's a fine line between budgeting in the proper sense where like everything is recorded and then being a bit more liberal, but then because you're like that, you don't really have a budget.
Yeah, you got to find that balance for yourself.
Where you're also not horrible to yourself.
Yeah. But instead, like I know that I'm an absolute cheap ass. I hate spending money on stuff.
How frugal.
Yeah, people like to say frugal, but I'm just really cheap and I know it. And people like to dress up as really frugal and on top of my finances, but honestly, I'm just cheap and lazy. So I feel like, unfortunately, budgeting is probably not going to be very hard for me because I'll be like, I don't spend that much money in that category. It's fine. But then when I do splurge, I will kind of splurge. It depends. Like, I don't shop very often. Like we were saying before, I went shopping over the long weekend and I spent like $100 on stuff and I was like, oh my gosh. But when I put it in perspective for myself, I only go like kind of clothes shopping every probably like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Whereas I estimate that I clothes shop probably once every 3 weeks, but I'll just get one thing.
Whilst I will buy a whole bunch of new stuff. So it hurts more initially because it's a bigger receipt.
Do you know what that reminds me of? It's like the eternal question after Easter when you have a whole pile of chocolate. Is it better to eat one piece every day for ages or just stuff your face?
I like to do it slowly because if I stuff my face, I'll feel sick and I'd rather feel good for 3 months than sick for a day.
How philosophical.
Thank you.
You've got a very well thought answer for that one.
Also,
which
like,
I just sprung on you.
it's like when a friend is like, oh, I have your birthday present, but like I forgot it. Is it okay if I give it to you in like a week? And
That's like me. I forgot your graduation present. I was going to bring it today.
But I always don't mind because if it's like a birthday present, I'm like, that's fine. It just means that like I get like staggered gifts instead of getting them all at once. I'd rather get stuff staggered out.
I have a story about that.
Extends it.
So the weirdest thing about that,
So we will get to budget tips, guys.
We are going to get to budget tips.
We're just going to anecdote for a while.
But on a side note, the weirdest thing about that, so my birthday is on the 1st of March. And what's weird is because, I don't know what it is, but March and May, I guess because it's the same letter, I have quite a few, enough that I can say quite a few, family friends that think my birthday is on the 1st of May.
Really?
And it gets to the point where you know them well enough that it's awkward to correct them. So every year on the 1st of May, I get like 3 or 4 presents. And I'm like, hey, cool. Like I come home and they're on the doorstep and Mum and I were like, oh, well, second birthday, it's the 1st of May.
I wouldn't correct them.
Isn't that the weirdest thing though?
Yeah. People with June and July must get that a lot.
Yeah. Because March and May, I think it's just because they both begin with M.
Especially because often months are shortened to the 3 letters.
Yeah.
So it's MAR instead of MAY.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But for some reason, people get that mixed up.
So actual budget tips. I did 1 semester of personal finance as a class, so I feel like I'm kind of an expert on it now, guys. One of the tips that my teacher gave me was to track your expenses, which I do. I have a spending app, and every time I buy something, anything, regardless of how small it is, if it's 50 cents, I will put it in.
See, I can't do that because I find that too depressing.
No, it's good because then I can see exactly where every penny, if we use pennies, every cent is going. So I actually find tracking my expenses really beneficial. And also,
that's true.
If I want to buy something, a part of my brain goes, oh, I have to input it into this app. Is it really that worth it? And I have to like physically type it in. And I use my debit card to pay for stuff. So you don't see the physical money. Yeah, you don't see the physical money.
When I was a child, I used to ask my mum why she didn't need to use money. I was like, why do you just use a piece of plastic? Like, why don't you have to pay?
Magic money.
And Mum was like, no, I have to pay. And I was like, no, you don't. There's no money.
That is not the right attitude about credit cards at all. So once you've done that, writing a budget and being really realistic about your budget is really important. True. So yeah, if you spend a lot of money on clothes, as long as you budget in, you'll be okay. Budgeting is not about redistributing your money. It's about knowing where your money goes and making sure there's enough for all the things. Because, if you want a coffee every morning, budget in a coffee every morning.
Yeah. It's all about knowing how you spend money.
It's where you want to put your money. It's not about where everyone else puts their money.
Yeah. So. And a lot of people associate budgets with goals. I don't think you necessarily have to have a goal to have a budget. I mean, it's nice to think, oh, well, I'm going to go away to Europe next year, and so I'm going to set aside this much every week or something, So that kind of thing is good, but you don't necessarily need to be aiming for something to want to just be, I guess, smart with your money and save it.
Yeah. The thing about budget is it's not meant to restrict you. It's just meant to see where your money goes.
Yeah.
And know, I guess, what's a luxury and what's a necessity. So like paying rent is probably a really good idea to factor that in first.
Do that first.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you can't have the luxuries that you want. You just got to make sure you can factor them in and have enough money for them.
Right? Yeah. So it's interesting. So you're very planned. My approach, I'm not quite as I am planned, but I like to sort of I guess make it so that I can't tell. So for instance, for me, I know that there's a certain amount of cash that I'm going to get per week. So because I have that physical cash, I don't ever pay for things on my debit card unless I'm going out for dinner or I'm actually buying something else. And then with my debit card, that's connected to an account that I keep a very low amount of money in that is targeted so that it will run out before my next pay. So for that reason, I am actually tracked on every angle. I just don't physically track every expense because I find that a bit daunting, but I've set it up so that I am actually tracked, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's good. You don't leave your whole paycheck in that account. So there's not, the money isn't there to spend.
No.
So if you try and pay for something and it gets like, declined, you're like, I can't afford that right now.
Yeah, and then you're like, never mind, just have to wait.
Tell yourself, that's good.
So, everybody has a totally different way of budgeting, and we have a couple of quick tips from Forbes on effective and stress-free budgeting. So the first one is to understand your goal. So like we said, you don't necessarily need to have a goal. Your goal might just be that you want to be more on top of your finances and more aware of your finances.
Yeah. But if you are saving for a holiday, work out how much you need and then divide it down by the number of weeks left and budget in to save $100 a week off your paycheck.
Yeah.
It can be that simple.
Number 2, track the way that you spend. So Victoria and I both just went through our own tracking methods. We have different ones. So I guess the important thing is to work out what works for you. Mm-hmm. Number 3 is use the 3-category budget. For example, you have to work out things that can't change. Like, for instance, you do have to pay your rent. Then there are things that you really should pay for, but you kind of don't have to, that maybe you could put on a credit card, and then there are things that you choose to pay for. The next one is remember to always save. You should, even if it's like, $50 a month, you need to always save something.
Yeah, don't be spending as much as you earn.
No, that gets you into a really difficult cycle. And as they say, with things like bankruptcy, it happens really slowly, then it happens really fast.
And like even just for rainy day stuff, or if you forget that it's a friend's birthday, you have to buy them a present and you have no money for that.
Yeah.
Yes, you can make a present, but there's always going to be stuff you need to buy,
That's true.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to mention is the 50-20-30 plan, which is the first thing that I actually ever heard about in regards to budgeting, which was popularized by Elizabeth Warren. She had a book called All Your Worth.
I'm assuming that it's percentage.
Yeah, it's
because that equals 100.
Yeah, it does. Very good maths.
Thank you.
And with the plan, 50% of your income has to go to your necessities, 20% goes to long-term savings, and 30% goes to lifestyle choices. Lifestyle choices are very, very broad. So actually, as far as that goes, if you choose to get public transport or you choose to drive, that is technically a lifestyle choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then if you choose
That's funny because I would have put like transport into necessities.
Transport itself is a necessity, but how you choose to transport yourself could be, it like counts as a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
So you have to look at things like that. And then also what hobbies you do also goes under that. It might not seem like a life luxury, but it does count under lifestyle choices in a budget.
So if you guys have any areas of topic, if you're a young adult or you know someone who's a new or young adult and they need help in a certain area, we're here to help. Let us know. Send us an email, send us a tweet, write on our Facebook page. Let us know what topics you want us to tackle for you guys. And also, they're probably really helpful for us as well. So please let us know. So that was budgets. If I don't know, if there's maybe like, how do I dress for a social party? Like it could be anything.
That's a good one.
We're going to research it and we're going to find out the answers for you because we're all learning how to give.
Pardon? I said we live to give.
We do, and we're all like figuring it out together. So yeah, we'll catch you after this. This is a little bit of Missy Higgins on the Takeover.
Cute little piano ending. She's good, isn't she?
I love Missy Higgins.
Missy Higgins is great. We were just discussing her, feeling like she's vanished off the face of the earth. She actually hasn't. She just had a son, so he's one now, so she's at home.
Probably very busy with a 1-year-old. My goodness.
Yes.
Think of the lullabies she must sing him to sleep with. Oh, that lucky kid. Anyway, look, if you guys have noticed the time, you'll realise that it's time for Suburb Focus. Oh, that doesn't get old. You might get sick of it. I love it.
It's actually not getting old. People keep telling me that they like that.
Yeah,
that's because you're popularising it.
I am. I'm such a trendsetter, guys.
So for this week on Suburb Focus, we are combining 2 suburbs again. So we have Collaroy and Collaroy Plateau, which is strangely, I guess, poignant because we just had all the bad weather there. So it's
like how we did Narrabeen last week.
Yeah, like how we did Narrabeen last week. What's interesting about Collaroy is Collaroy was actually originally part of Narrabeen. It did not used to be a suburb.
Oh, really?
So it's one of the newer ones on the beaches. Well, when I say new, it was still made a suburb in the 1800s, but new as far as the beaches go, newer than a lot of other suburbs by like 40 to 50 years.
Oh, okay.
So it's quite new. So yeah, originally part of Narrabeen and then was renamed after the collier SS Collaroy, which ran aground on the beach there in 1881 during a storm.
Oh, whoops. Yep. Oh, there's land here, guys.
Let's call it Collaroy.
Guys, let's drop anchor here.
But isn't this interesting? It was refloated and it was later wrecked again on the Californian coast in 1889. So it floated all the way from Collaroy to California.
I'm sure that there was a little bit of engine power involved to just float there.
Very interesting though. And so then most of Collaroy's development has occurred since the mid-20th century. So it is a little bit newer. And what's amazing, I didn't know this, there are more than 15,000 people that live in Collaroy.
What?
I did not think Collaroy was that populated, but it is. And that doesn't include...
Look, it doesn't surprise you. Have you ever driven past that pie place, the Upper Crust? There's always a really long queue.
But the Upper Crust is famous. That's why.
So that's why all the...
Collaroy is the home of the Upper Crust.
Those 15,000 people all queuing up there.
But what's weird is that adds to an extra pile of people that live in Collaroy Plateau as well. Like it's just generally a really populated area. So Collaroy Plateau itself actually has quite an interesting history. So it was designated as a separate suburb in 1977 and it was given its own postcode.
That's rather recent. Continue.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them are newer. Like a lot of the suburbs on the North Shore only were re-gazetted in 1994. So it's quite new. But yeah, 1977, Collaroy Plateau became a separate suburb. But then not long after, in 1984, it was reassigned and became a locality. So it lost its status as a suburb. And in 2001, all localities were renamed as urban places. So
urban places.
But then in 2011, they went back round again, and Collaroy Plateau, along with Wheeler Heights, was actually re-established as a suburb by the Geographical Names Board of New South Wales after a lot of lobbying and community pressure, because the people that had always lived in Collaroy Plateau were angry when they found out that it was no longer a suburb and they were back living in Collaroy. So all their lobbying actually made it happen. And since 2011, Collaroy Plateau is again a suburb.
Wow, that's a lot of toing and froing very recently.
It is. Interesting, hey? And random fun fact, Collaroy Beach is actually the landing point of the PPC-1 submarine cable, which links Australia to the internet.
Like all of Australia? Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Go Collaroy. It's being useful, isn't it?
Collaroy just became the most important suburb in my entire life.
But anyway, that is the end of our show for this week. As usual, we're going to put our playlist up online straight after this. And we're also going to put up our budgeting tips. And like we said, if you want any more information on being a new adult, there should be a word for that, like an adult or something.
Ugh, no. Guys, if you've got any great new words for new adults, let us know.
I want to know them.
Look, if I can get suburb focus trending, I can get a new word trending. My power knows no bounds. And we'll see you next time.